So what I'm going to do is I'm going to describe the final project, and then everybody else can kind of look and see this on the video, what I want you to do. So here is. So I'll post this in the assignments, but
Okay.
our last week of class is the first week of June. So we really have 2 more weeks after this. And then the final is due on June 13th. So what I wanted you guys to work on is basically a 3-page website that focuses on a skill or a process. So I have this example. It's actually, I don't have anything in the example, but I'll show you what I do have in brackets. So this example was going to be all about baking a cake. And what I'll do is I'll give you guys a template. I've been doing that for a couple of assignments where I just give a template. So the idea for the home page is it's going to use some sort of, I want everybody to use some sort of interactive feature. And here I'm using a carousel, and this is from Bootstrap. So the carousel has controls to go back and forth. Now here is basically just a PNG file that's blue. So for now, what I did was I went into Photoshop and I created I just created like a series of backgrounds, pink, well, kind of like salmon colored, green, and light blue. And so that's what I save these out as PNG files for this document. But if you look at the code, what this is using, it's using a Bootstrap carousel. So I have up here the links and the scripts that are linking to the Bootstrap source code. And then down below, I'm using a Bootstrap class style called carousel along with slide. And down here, you have the divs. So what you do is you put your images inside this series of divs, and each where you say item active, that's basically the first image that you will see. And so you can keep on adding additional items in here if you want to. If you want to have, 4 images go by or 5. But all you really need to do is put your images under image source. And then the information underneath is a description of what that item is. So there's a H3 and a paragraph tag that kind of goes into more detail. So for this, what I want you guys to do is first create a home page that represents the process, and the sliders that you use can be kind of like a scaled down version of the process. And then I have this would be a link. So I have a link, and then I have a contact, and the contact can be, for more recipes or something like that. Contact could be you. I guess you can make up a person if you want to, but you can use the contact form from last week. And then for the more detailed steps section, that would be more like a gallery where you can go have your grid of squares list out the individual steps. And what I was going to do for that is show you kind of like the basic layout here in XD. So we're going to have this initial page up here, which is the main homepage, which describes what that process is. And I'm just going to do like a quick wireframe. And then here would be like your carousel that kind of goes through basically the carousel can have and if you don't want to do a carousel, you don't have to. You can do like a hover effect. Maybe you hover over it and you have two versions of the cake. And I was also going to go over a jQuery slider that you could use as well for this. But here, like this is the carousel that would have 3 images that show parts of the process, not the whole process, but it kind of showcases, like if it's the cake example, maybe you have somebody holding a cake pan, or a bowl with batter in it. And these are images that you can find online, or if you want, maybe it's a real process. Maybe it's actually you baking cookies and you just take the photos. But here are like showcase images, like showing you 3 very like appealing images that kind of show you the whole steps. And then this would have, and you don't have to design it like this either, but it's just kind of showing the flow of the whole website. This is a link to the steps. And I'll make this a little bit smaller. So that's a link to the steps, and then you can also have somewhere else on the page for more information. And then the other pages, so basically I'm going to duplicate this. So this page would be step by step. And then instead of having this carousel, what I would want is something that's more of a grid layout. So I'm just going to guess with this. So this would actually show more information on a step-by-step type basis. And so if it's baking a cake, you can get more into details here with this page. Then you can have labels too. So here are my labels. I don't need to say that since it is. So you do it like a step 1, a step 2, step 3, and have as many steps as you can on how to do whatever you decide that you want to be the subject of this website. So we have that page, and then I'll just drag this down one more time. And this would be your contact page. And contact page, we already kind of went through that in class, so you can just use that example. So here I'll just kind of mock it up. This is like your contact page. For more information, please fill out the contact. And I'm doing this just so you can see the flow of everything. Oops. So we got 3 pages here. So hey Jason, I just see you jumping on there.
Hey.
How's it going?
Good, and you?
Good. So what I'm doing is I'm going over the final assignment, which would be due on June 13th. So the idea for this assignment is I want you guys to create a 3-page website that discusses a process, something that's like step-by-step, like a how-to page, and something, I would try to think in terms of something that you do personally. Like it could be anything, like, how to, how to draw something, let's say, if you're a good artist, or, how to like cook something, or how to juggle, what are the 3 main steps to juggling. So the idea is there's a homepage that features that process, and I'm going to give you guys a template. So for the homepage, I want you to work with some sort of interactive feature. Now for the template, I have a carousel that's in Bootstrap. So you can have 3 showcase images that kind of go through parts of that process. And then the next page would be the actual step-by-step section. So I'm creating kind of like a sample wireframe of what the website could be. And step-by-step can have a lot more than just 3 things that you feature in the carousel. Like if it's, baking a cake, you can have maybe, 12 steps, all the way from mixing the batter to cooking the cake to adding the frosting to decorating the cake, But it could be anything. It could be like, think in terms of like things that have steps. So let's say origami, how to make an origami swan, let's say, folding paper, gardening, maybe it's building something, anything that has steps where you can kind of feature the steps. And then that final page is a contact page. So for the navigation, you'll probably want to do something where you have, probably on these 2 pages here, you'll need like a home button. And then here, I'll just, navigation-wise, link the steps. We go to this page. Home goes back up to home. For more information, goes to contact. And then this home goes back up to home. So when you see this played out, you have your home page with the carousel. You link to the steps. You see your steps. And you have your home. And that for this too, for more information, can actually connect as well down here.
Okay.
So yeah, but the design can be whatever. It doesn't have to look like this. I'm just giving you this so you understand what something could look like. Now if I click on that, it goes there, and then I see that full navigation set up. So I have the actual information for the final. So this kind of details it out. So skill snapshot process / process web page. Um, yeah, so that's basically that's going to be the final. So
Okay.
it's not meant to be a hard final, like because I want to give everybody an opportunity to finish what they're working on. So it's meant to be a little bit easier for you. The most challenging part might be the interactive um, type element. So here in the code for the carousel, I'm going to give you guys the code, and it's pretty straightforward, but it's using Bootstrap. So the links for Bootstrap are up here, and you can replace images here for your images for the showcase features, and then you put your explanation of the images down below, and then you can go on and create your link to your um, second page, which is the grid step-by-step page.
Okay.
And yeah, so that's going to be the final. Let me see. Yeah, let's see. So what I was going to go over today, though, is you don't necessarily have to use a carousel. If you want to, you can do a hover, maybe you hover over something and the image changes, or you can do a before or after type feature. So I have this example of, let's see, and I have to find it here. Let's see. I have a jQuery example that's a transitional type web page. So what you would call this is a um, image comparison slider. So I'll give you guys this code as well, and I'll talk more about jQuery and what it is. So if you look at this example, give it a few seconds. So this is a image comparison. So this is another type of interactive feature that you could have on a web page. This is something that I'm doing for my day job. So it's showing this rusty kind of bad looking gear here, and then you slide over it and you see the better version. So it's using this slider to go back and forth to reveal the image. But this is using jQuery to do that. So if you look at this code, jQuery is actually what's being used by Bootstrap. So a lot of like the carousel is actually using jQuery as well. But in this example, I just have a script here that's pointing to this JavaScript. Actually, it's down here. This JavaScript file, which is the jQuery file. So what jQuery is, it's basically just a collection of JavaScript functions that have been condensed. So you don't have to know all the JavaScript. So in this example, this kind of shows you the differences between using plain old JavaScript, which is right here, and then using jQuery. And the way jQuery works is jQuery is identified with a $sign. So whenever you see this $sign and you see this type of structure where you have a $sign and then you have something in parentheses and then dot and then there's something else here, the $sign is basically saying this is jQuery. So let's go and look inside our jQuery code, which is pointing to here. And then it's using this to find an element on the page. So it's basically just saying if you have a document, which is any document, HTML document, do this, which is this function. And this function is looking at your HTML. And if you have the tag body, so all HTML web pages will have a body tag. So if you have that body tag, just add this bit of information. So add into the body tag a p tag, and this is what I want the p tag to say. Just say this page is loaded. So this here, where I have that $, that's using jQuery. So that's the $, is like the universal variable within jQuery to let the browser know that it needs to access jQuery somehow. It needs to access the jQuery that you're linking in the script. What this is down below is the equivalent of using JavaScript. So you can kind of see how complex this is. The JavaScript version, it's waiting for what's called the DOM, the document object model, to load. So the web page itself uses the document object model. So you'll hear that term quite often when it comes to JavaScript, because you're manipulating the document object. And then to actually do what jQuery is doing in plain old JavaScript, you have to set up these variables, you have to find the body, you have to create an element, you have to create a special text variable for that element, and then you have to append both. So you kind of see how this is a lot more complicated than this. And when I show you the web page, you see it says this page just loaded. So that's what jQuery did, and that's what the JavaScript did. But they both did the same thing. So what you're doing with jQuery is a lot of times you're manipulating the HTML itself. You're kind of injecting new HTML into the web page, or you're changing the HTML. It's not just you're changing text, you're changing actual tags, and you're changing actual style sheets using it. And I'll kind of go into more detail for the next couple of weeks about what you can do. But in this next example, and this is kind of, it's a lot to understand right away. In this example here, it's called jQuery practice. And I'll give you guys these examples. So again, you're pointing to jQuery on a CDN. And just so you can see what this is pointing to, this right here is what that link is pointing to. This is the actual script itself. And you see how it is totally overwhelming? Like, how do you feel when you look at this? Like, it's totally unreadable, right? Like, you cannot even understand what's happening here. Well, the reason is because it's minified. So what coders will do is they will minify a script, especially a very long script. And what minification does, it gets rid of all the spaces in between. So all your tabs, all of your spaces get taken out, and you just have all the main functions within there. So it's just like one endless line of code, basically. So it's pointing to this minified version. And the reason why you minify it is because it's more lightweight. It takes up less memory. So unminified code takes up more memory. It can take longer to process. Here it's more lightweight. So there's all the unnecessary spaces have been taken out. I just wanted to show you that so you can see what something looks like when it's minified. And that's what this is pointing to. When you see this .min.js behind something, that basically means you're pointing to minified code. But in this example, what I have is another jQuery script. You have the $, looking for an HTML document. And then once it, which is basically the document itself that the code is on, that the code is being used for, then there's a series of selectors here with functions. So when you have this $, and it's using it's using jQuery to look for a p tag, and whatever it finds a p tag, it's going to append this CSS to that p tag. So if you look at the code down below, I have several p tags. So I'll show you what the code looks like without me doing anything. So this is the code. It's pretty straightforward. It's just, you know, an H1, P tags, and a couple of H2s. So what jQuery does, and I'll have these side by side, you can see it happening live. So what we can do with this kind of example test is I have I've commented out each line of jQuery. So if I uncomment this by getting rid of the forward slashes, and hit save here, and then refresh, what this will do now is it will look for every single p tag down here, and well, what do you think it's going to do based on looking at this?
Add a border.
Yeah, it's going to add a border. So if I refresh, every single p tag has a border. So basically, it's a really fast way to apply all the CSS, the p tags, or at least if you don't know how many p tags are in the code itself, it would help identify it for you. So you have your selector here first, and then you have a function that follows that. And this particular function is CSS. And the CSS function will basically add any of the so if you go through it here, if I get rid of this one, hit save. This will look for my refresh. Basically, what this one is looking for, it's looking for any class down below that equals selector. So I added a green border to that one. This one, so I'm going to comment these back. This one right here, it's going to look for any ID that equals intro. So the first H1 has an ID of intro. I'll actually change the color to something else. I'll change the width just to make it more interesting. So get rid of that, hit save and refresh. And it found that intro and it gave it a big red border. And the next one is looking for your first paragraph tag. So after the colon, the word first is going to find the very first p tag, make it red. And then finally, the last one down here. So this is getting a little bit more complicated, but it's looking for any H2 that does not have a class of selector. So it's basically this one. It has the class of filter. So if we look at that one, and I'll make it, I'll just change the color again. Here, so get rid of this. So filters, this is an H2, and it does not have, it has a class of filter. So basically, it's not a selector, and does not have a class of selector, and that's what gets selected. So this little bit of jQuery is actually doing a lot that you would need to do in JavaScript. So it's actually a big time saver. Oh, I see more people have showed up. A couple.
Good morning.
Oh, hey, good morning, Kanaya. How are you doing?
Doing well, thank you. How are you?
Good. Everybody's kind of like slowly straggling in this morning.
Yes, sorry, I was late.
No problem. So I'm going over jQuery right now, and I've so this is something that I'm going to start to talk about. I've also talked about the final assignment, so I can go over that again with you. But this is basically just showing you what jQuery basically is. So I have a presentation that goes into more detail. And I want to talk about some other things as well. Let's see, where it is. So I just have a quick presentation that talks more about jQuery and what it is. So the idea behind jQuery is to make it easier to use JavaScript on your website, and it takes out a lot of the common tasks that require many lines of code and wraps them in methods that you can call with a single line of code. So it's basically, you can also say it's a framework, and there's all these frameworks that are out there. There's a lot of different types of frameworks. In a way, Bootstrap is a framework too, because it's taking a lot of code and just condensing them and making it easier for you to use more extensive style sheets, let's say, and predefining things for you just to make the task easier for you. So you can get jQuery by going to jquery.com. So I'll just go do it real quick so you can see what it looks like. So this is the jQuery website. And what you'll find here is a couple ways to utilize jQuery. So you can download everything here. So this is basically the whole code itself. It's like that minified script that I showed you. And they're at version 3, so you can do it like this here. So you can download everything. There's some other ways to do a installation for jQuery. When you see stuff like this, this is where you can actually install jQuery from the command line. But that's like kind of more complicated than we want to get into right now. You can also connect via a CDN. So here you'll find some CDNs. In the example that I was using, I'm using Microsoft. So if you go to Microsoft doc site will actually have all sorts of CDNs to connect to, and one is jQuery. That's why you also see here Google and a couple other services, so you can get it through Google as well. And basically, you're actually pointing to Google servers or Microsoft servers, and they just have that jQuery code there for you. And you can also get it through this site called StackPath. So, so I'm not sure where they're hosting it there. Actually, I think it's right here. So if you go to this code.jquery.com link, you can get the different versions. And I was pointing to the minified version in one of my examples. So that's how you can access jQuery. What you can do too, though, is you can point to the code, and then you can also download it. So right here, this is pointing to the code. So you can point to it, or, and in addition, let me see, you can use a backup script. So what you can do in case the CDN is not working, let's say you have a really bad web connection and you still want to work in jQuery, you can download that whole minimized script and save it somewhere and then point to it this way. So there's an option, this is like to use a backup option. So you basically save it in a script folder and you use this additional script tag to point to that downloaded version. For resources on learning jQuery, this is what I wanted to show you. This is actually kind of nice. I don't know if you guys have heard of Dash. This is an actual app, but what it is if you go into, I'll download it for you actually. This is the Mac version. I'm on a PC. Actually, and it's actually, let's see, let me go back. Well, what it is it's better to show you this on an iPad, but you can download it to your iPad or an iPhone. I think it's more of a Mac thing than a Windows thing. But what it is basically the doc files for all types of frameworks that are out there. And you'll see like this full list, and then you can look up jQuery in here as well. So this will give you everything that you need to understand jQuery. There's some other options out there too, though. And I mean, the main one is just going to jQuery itself. And they have some, let's see. They have some good documentation on the main site as well. So you can go to the actual documentation here to see what all the different functions are as you go through this. So you'll see here, there's that CSS function that I was using in that example to change or modify the style sheet that the selector in jQuery is looking for. So here, so this function right here is basically a simple write function, and again, it's looking for that document that jQuery is connected to. You know, if there is the document there, it's basically appending this p tag to the current something that has an ID of content. So this is your basic bit of jQuery code. So the basic syntax is $, and then in parentheses is your selector, and then you have some sort of function or action that comes after that, and then within the parentheses for the action is what you want that action to do. The idea behind jQuery is the reason why it's called jQuery. It's basically making a JavaScript query, and it's querying the HTML itself. So it's always manipulating the HTML in some way. So you have selectors and filters, and that's basically every line of jQuery code is built of both. So first you have your selector, and then you can have filters applied for those selectors. So selectors are looking for like very broad things. For example, looking for like a p tag, and then a filter can be looking for like the first p tag. So when you see p:1, your p tag is the selector, and then your filters are looking for something more specific. So this is just a repeat of the example that I showed you, but down here, this example right here, that's the example of p:1. P is your selector, and first is your filter. Here are more examples of selectors with filters. So you can look for the child of a div, something that's inside of a div, something that is next to the hierarchy, or something that is on the same level. So here it's looking for a list. Unnumbered UL is the tag. Unnumbered list that's next to a div tag. So you got these advanced selectors. The tilde is something that's previous sibling. These are the basic filters. So you can have p tag that does not have a selector. First of something, the last of something. Even can be like if you have a list, it'll look for every other item in the list. Header is basically all the header elements. Animated can look for anything that's using animation. And then you have attribute filters as well. So any p tag that is using a class, ID tags that have certain names. The caret symbol is like a it's like a partial lookup. So caret symbol equals para, meaning anything that starts with that. And then you can kind of combine these two. So it's anything that starts with para that has a language attribute of English. So you can use multiple filters here. And then content filters are more specific, but they're kind of cool because you can actually look for things within the content itself. So this is looking for a p tag that contains the number 3 in the text. This is just looking for tags that have text inside of them, so it's pretty straightforward. And then this is a little bit more complicated. This filter looks for a div with paragraphs inside of them with a class that has a, I think because it starts with an A in that class, the name of the class has the letter A associated with it. So that's more complicated. Here are child filters. So basically it's looking like if you have a list, like a UL is your list, it will look for the first item in the list, the last item in the list, or if there's only one item in the list. And then you can actually do something like this, UL, LI, nth child 2. That'll look for the second item in the list. So you can specify completely directly what you want. So this kind of, I'm going to go over probably more of this next week. But this is where you can start to do more interactive things with jQuery with mouse overs, different mouse events. So you have this on and off. These are functions that will let you basically turn something off or on by using jQuery. So I have to create some examples for this so you can actually see it. This is basically what's called an event handler. So
sorry, I didn't quite catch that. Could you please repeat it?
That was my Alexa going off. So you have different types of
I
events.
didn't get that. Could you try again?
Alexa, stop. Sorry. So you have different event handlers. So you have click, mouse click, hover, submit. So these actually are older, and now you just have one. So you just have on. So on kind of does everything. So this is kind of an example. Looking for a list element, and here on click for any like list element, you can add something. So basically what this would do is allow you to click on, let's say, a list item. You click on that list item, and then it can change the list item by changing the CSS. So let's say you have a list of items, and then you click on an item in that list, and then maybe the list is bold, or maybe the list changes color, or maybe the list has a different background. So that's what this on will do. It'll allow you to change that item by adding something else to it. So here's a couple examples, and I think I have these examples. I have to actually find them for you. But this function is basically whenever you go over a p tag, it will highlight the paragraph. So actually, let me let's kind of see this in action. So I'm just going to copy this. So this is looking for a p tag, and then but the key to doing this though is the way it works is it's looking. You have a class style set up. Let me see. That class style would have a background color, maybe set to yellow, and the style for the class would be called highlight. So basically, what happens is when you hover over something that's a p tag, it will toggle the class, meaning it will turn the class on and off. So let me see if I have this example. Set up.
So is this like JavaScript?
Yeah, so this is okay. Yes, so basically this is jQuery is JavaScript, but it's what you call a framework because it's taking JavaScript functions and condensing them. So this on is actually like a JavaScript function that it's calling. And then when you're linking to the CDN for the jQuery, it has that on function written out in the file that you're linking to, but you don't need to know all of that. All you need to know is on. Let me see. Trying to see if I got an example here. I have an example of this here using the on function. So let me see if this works. Because this is where you really start to explore like higher levels of interactivity where you're doing very, you can have a lot more fun with, the interaction with the user now, because the user can start clicking on different things and getting feedback, getting a lot more feedback. Just let me go here. Okay, let me see. I'm not sure what this example is. So let me see. I don't think that's working right. Oh, okay. Hold on one second. Let me get this to work. It's just not pointing to the. For some reason, this mobile. This is from the jQuery site. It's giving me problems. Let me see if this fixes it. Okay, cool. So I had to. Do you guys see what I just did? I had. I'll undo. So this this CDN right here. This is pointing to the jQuery CDN on the jQuery website, but it's giving me problems. So I just basically replaced it with another link to another CDN, which is here. And I believe this is the one on the Microsoft website. So this one is working. I don't know why the jQuery one is down, but now you can see this example. And I'll give you this example. So basically, using that on function, when I click on the button, the animation happens. So this is a good example of how jQuery is simplifying a series of JavaScript functions for you within one bit of code. So I'll push this to the side. So what's kind of cool about jQuery now is the fact that, you know, that could be more than just a box moving. You know, if I'm using like keyframes, then maybe that could be like an actual character moving or something, you know, more interaction. So it's a kind of a good like launch point for maybe even like a game or something like that. Let me go back into my brackets file. So I'll just show you how that's working. Here it is. There, got that one there. Go back here. There it is. Okay, so so here I have this button set up, and buttons right here. So basically, I'm using an actual tag called button that creates the button for me. And then it has a class of go. And so, and they have some stuff commented out here. You don't need to see all of this. But so basically what the jQuery is looking for is it's looking for anything that has a class of go. So that's all it needs to look for. So if this was called, if this class was called, launch or something else, and you would need to have a class of launch. And then here's the function. So anything that has a class of go, it looks for this, it will apply the on function. And the on function is basically using, it's basically calling another function. And what that function is being called is move. So here I have a function called move. And what that function does is it looks for anything that has a class of box, and then it will toggle that class. And the class that's being toggled is animation played. So that's an actual style that's being toggled. So if I look up here, here's the style animation played. So by default, it's turned off, but when I click the button, it's turned on. And what it means to turn something on, in this case, is to actually apply this bit of CSS. And what that CSS does is basically take the box, the cyan box, and it just moves it. So it's applying this animation here. In the animation that it's applying is called, I don't know why I called it explode, but it's explode 2. If I change it, I think I have it. These are two of the same things. But anyways, yeah, and so that's what's happening. So I click it, and it also changes color. So if you look at the class here for animation play, it also changes color from the original color, which is set up in box. So original color is cyan, and it changes it to magenta. And that's what it does. So basically what on is doing is it's looking for a mouse click. It's looking for an event, which is the mouse click, but it's also calling another function, and that function is toggling the CSS from that box to animation play. That's basically how that works. So you could do a couple things here too. You could maybe you, instead of moving something, you can use keyframes to change the opacity, let's say. So maybe you have an image on top of something else, and it fades the upper image away to reveal the lower image. So that's something that you could do with something like this. The one thing that's cool about it is when you click once, it toggles it, so it changes the class. You click again, and it goes back to dot box. So one click changes the class to dot animate play. Click again, changes the class back to dot box. And that way you can have two things happening to show something, to show a process of something. Do you guys understand that? Because it's more involved. Now it's kind of like a more of an advanced topic. Does anybody have any questions about this?
Did you go over like just in the actual animation, the classes anim play? Like, did we go over that? Like,
Yeah, I think we got over it 3 weeks ago.
oh, okay.
Yeah, so just to go over it quickly again, this keyframes is what you call a rule. It's a CSS rule. So anything with the @ symbol in front of it is a special type of style, basically. And you see it with font. You have the @ font rule as well. So it's special in that sense. And then what you do with this is you apply a special keyword to the rule itself. Oh. So in this circumstance, actually this one's not being used. So the special keyword is explode2. So that keyword is going to be identified by the animation property under this style for anim play. So basically animation here is looking for any @keyframe rule with the explode2 keyword, which is this. And now within the keyframes rule with that explode2 keyword, you basically have two ways of doing it. You can say from or to, and here you have specific properties now that you can change. So here I'm just changing position from the left side. Or you can actually say, you can give it a percentage. So like in this example, you can have multiple percentages. So I could say, so you can do your animation incrementally. And I think the example I showed you guys was with a little character. Do you guys remember that? There was like a little character and it was a strip.
A little penguin, I think.
Yeah, it was like a little penguin, right? So in that example, that was using what's called a sprite strip, and you're moving it in increments. Well, here with percentages, I can kind of do the same thing. So I can say maybe at 50%, and then you do your square bracket. Let's speed it up. So instead of going straight from 0 to 500 pixels, let's go from halfway through, let's go straight to 400 pixels. And then it's gonna make it, well, actually, let's do the opposite. Let's have it go slower. So halfway through, let's have, oh, I'm sorry, who was that? Oh, Palin, oh, hi. I'm showing, we're talking about jQuery today. Which I know that you already know some jQuery, right?
Me?
Yes.
Yeah, I know that jQuery.
So, okay, so I'm covering it for the rest of the class. So here in this example, I'm using jQuery on this button to make the box. It's using the on function when you click on the button, and then it's toggling the class, the CSS of the box itself. For this though, instead of using this keyframe rule explode2, I'm going to change it to explode1. So I just have to change this up here to explode1. Hit save, and I'll refresh it. Now when I play it, it goes slow and then it goes fast. So you see how that works, Jason?
Yeah.
So it's pretty cool actually. And then you toggle it back.
Oh, that. Okay, yeah. I see.
Yeah. So. So if you look, So I was explaining to everybody, here's that jQuery code, because you want to look for, it's jQuery when you have the $sign. That's the first indication for the document to use jQuery. You have to have the $sign. That's like the universal symbol for jQuery. And then it's using this function here on, looking for anything with a constant row, and then it will use the mouse click, to apply another function called move, and that function's down here. Actually, I'll get rid of all of this. I think I was experimenting. So then down here, it's going to change the box class to toggle plug. And that's it. So I think and I don't know why that's
What happened?
Let's see something.
jQuery can train a page. Yeah.
What was that?
No,
I think for some reason it's like
I see my homework in the last weekend. Sorry, no, anything.
yeah, I don't know what I did, but I think there's something just weird going on with something else. I'm going to change this back to explode to I may have accidentally deleted something. Sometimes too, what happens is if the CDN is not working, that can be an issue. Yeah, now it doesn't want to work. Well, all right, now it's working. So I just refreshed it. So yeah, I'll include this example as well, but I'll probably show more examples next week. But what I want to show to everybody now that more people are here is I was talking about the final assignment. So for the final assignment, I know this is going to be a repeat for Jackie and Jason, but I'm posting the final assignment today, and you'll see that under assignments. And that's why I'm kind of going over jQuery, because I want there to be some sort of interactive experience for the final. So the final is right here. So what I want is basically for you to describe a skill or a process. And the website should be 3 pages, but it should be something that you can break down into steps. So, it's like I gave a bunch of examples: baking a cake, baking cookies, juggling, building a birdhouse, like whatever you guys want. Try to make it something that you do, like a skill that you have. I think it would be a lot easier to do that. And 3 pages. So the structure I put together in Adobe XD. So this is kind of like the structure of what the final should look like. You have a home page, and this is the interactive element. Now, in this example, the interactive element is a carousel. And I'll give you this template. So if I go here, this code that I have, it's using Bootstrap for the interactive element that's part of this. And it's using a Bootstrap carousel. So if you have the Bootstrap CDN set up, but you can easily just take this and modify it. Anywhere that you have this carousel, so there's a couple classes here. Carousel slide basically is making a call to the Bootstrap CDN to use some jQuery. It's actually using jQuery to do this, along with the CSS to style it. Basically, I have my images here, cake 1, cake 2, cake 3. But for this example, they're just represented with flat images, PNGs. So if I click on this here and you look at it, this is what the example is. So you can click through this, and then the slide in this gallery would kind of be more showcase examples, like bigger examples, of the main kind of features of the project. So with the baking the cake, showing the cake batter, showing a cake going in the oven, showing the cake coming out of the oven, something like that. And then the pages are set up. So if I go back into XD, kind of play this, you'll have the main homepage, that's the gallery. Links to steps is more of a gallery setup with a grid, and you have step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, step 5, step 6, and the last page would just be a contact page. So that's going to be the basic idea behind the final project. So you pick a process, and then for that process, have your main kind of breakout images that show the most exciting aspects in an interactive way. And then second page is the links to these steps, and then finally a contact page. And I'll post this. So this will be due June 13th. So you basically have 3 weeks. This is kind of an easier assignment. I'm going to give you the template for you to use. I'll give you this as well, the XD file, but I want you guys to come up with your own design. This is just kind of a very kind of like simple example of showing you what each page can be in the site. So do you guys have any questions about this? So this is something you can start working on now. But how's everybody doing with Alta Vista and the landing page?
Okay, you say, but
Palin, were you able to get?
no, you say no, not today.
What are you using? Are you using something else?
No, I just think. No, okay, you continue. No.
Is anybody else having any challenges with Alta Vista?
Me. I was confused with the dream. I was uploading the landing page onto the server through Dreamweaver. So now I had to use CyberDuck. That was a little easier, but then I still wasn't able to launch the website onto Alta Vista. I have the files in Alta Vista, but it's just not live.
Here, so do you have it open right now?
Hang on. And yeah, find the files.
Because what you could do, this is what I was showing Jackie, is with Alta Vista, you can edit the HTML directly through Alta Vista. So let me find it here.
I'm also not 100% satisfied with my landing page, so I might I might do some revisions. I just wanted to have up on Alta Vista.
Okay. Well, that's fine. You can change it anytime you want. Let me go into, so what you can do though with Alta Vista is, let's say you do upload something and for whatever reason, it's like you don't see it. And it's like, well, why don't I see it? Like I thought I did everything right. So here I'm gonna log into my, this is in Italian. I need the English version. Okay, so, oh, how do I get this page? There has to be, oh, here. Okay, this is the English version. I wish I could speak Italian, but I don't. So someday. So this is my site on Alta Vista called Pajama Cats. And let me just log in. So I'm going to throw in my password. So if you do have problems, for whatever reason you're not seeing something, this is what you can do with Alta Vista. So you already have it set up. You know that you signed it up for Alta Vista correctly because you have a page there and it gave, you know, you had a name applied to it for the URL, but for some reason you feel like it's not working. So if you go to Alta Vista and you log in directly, you can go to resources and then under space right here, go to file management. So click on file management and this will show you all the files that you have uploaded. So you should have an index.html uploaded by default, right?
Mm-hmm.
So Jackie was having a problem where she put it inside a folder. Well, it can't be inside a folder. It has to be like on the root level. You would say the root level, the main level there. And then you can click on edit, and then you should be able to see the code. Now, let's say you click on edit, and you see the default code that goes with Alta Vista. Well, basically what you can do then is you can just cut and paste. So you can cut and paste. I'm going to actually go into brackets. Let's say I wanted to change this directly without going into my FTP. Let's see here. So here. So this is what we just worked on. So I'm going to copy that code. I'm going to go back into this editor here. Now, what this is right now, I'll show you what it looks like now. So when I go to my Pajama Cat site, this is what the Pajama Cat webpage is now. It's like just experimenting with animation. Background is changing color. This box is getting bigger. I want to change all of that, but I don't want to go into the FTP. So so I go back in here and I just cut and paste my code. So I just cut and pasted my code from brackets. Hit apply. Then you can hit save and then refresh. And now if I go to the
I got it.
page now, it's like, boom, it's just updated, which is cool because if you are having problems, just go directly into Alta Vista.
Okay, I got it. It's live now.
Cool. Can we see it? What's the site?
I'm gonna put it. There's some stuff I still need to tweak, and like stylistically, I don't really like how it looks, but you know, it's.
So wait, do you not want to share it or?
I'm sharing it. Might as well. I worked too hard for that. I worked too hard on the gifts to not show it to people.
Okay, well, just give me the name then, because I don't.
Oh no, it's on the group chat.
Oh. Okay. Well. Oh. Okay. Now I gotta find my group chat. I got so many windows. Hold on. Where is my chat?
It's 1 week to roll them all. .altavista.org.
Oh, okay. 1 wig to rule them all.
Yeah,
Oh, cool. Okay.
it's really nonsensical, but
Oh, all right. Spelled it wrong. My fault. There you go.
wait, scroll up.
That's awesome.
Scroll up, please.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's great. Yeah, I mean, I like it. I mean,
Oh, sorry.
the only thing. So, do you want to use your own drawings for this?
Yeah, why not?
So, okay, that's fine.
I see my homework. I send you the land page.
Did you send it to me in chat?
Yeah.
Okay. But let's first look at when. So, what do you want to change then?
What the text boxes? I don't like how they are overlapping. But I could find a way.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You know what you do? What should be kind of cool actually is instead of using a solid background color, change the opacity.
Oh, the Wait, what?
So change the opacity so you see through the text boxes.
Oh, I already apply opacity. If you look closely, like look under buy now, and the text box.
Right. Oh, but are you talking about down below in your form?
Oh no, I was talking about text boxes.
Oh, okay, I see here. I would say improve the design. I would use like
Wait, I applied a font, like a certain, like a specific font, but I guess it wasn't uploaded.
oh, okay. Yeah, then look into that. See if you can change that. Maybe if you round the corners of the boxes too. And sometimes you don't really necessarily need outlines for that. So maybe I don't know if you need to actually have borders. It's up to you, but I think I like that. I think it's pretty cool though. Like
So
your GIF.
I have the font folder on Alta Vista, but it's in a different folder, separate from index. Should I have it like out of the folder?
No, as long as you have the proper, as long as you're properly pointing to the folder, it should be in like, you could have it in a font folder / and then name of the font. But you're not using Google Fonts?
No. I want to find a font that looks like here.
Oh, okay. So are you using like what type of font are you using?
Oh, I don't know. The file is called Secret Labs. It's on Alta Vista. Like I uploaded on Alta Vista.
Oh, okay. I think you're just not pointing to it correctly, but I'll have to look into that one in more detail. So is this like the wig as it starts?
Yeah, so I might make some changes for this.
So, okay.
Yeah.
Maybe the only other change, have the header go all the way across.
Across the page or across like this?
Yeah, instead of dividing it up so you have images and text, have the header go over the whole page itself.
Okay.
So you know that everything belongs under this one concept, one wig to rule them all. And then maybe that's expensive, $500.
Hey, one way.
$500.
One way. I mean, I feel like it's saving money. I could make it 1,000.
In earlier versions of this class, I actually would make a shopping cart. You can like use PayPal to actually create a shopping cart, so it's part of your form. there could be a way for people to actually buy the wig. But if it's not a real product,
It's
you know,
not real.
yeah, of course. So, but I think it's good. I think it's a good example. I like it. So, yeah, I think to have the header go all the way across would make it more cohesive instead of being separated. Find a way to make it more cohesive so that header kind of goes all the way. Maybe even too, like if these were centered and then you have change colors and lengths here, because then you could associate it with the image. So maybe there's a way to, like with Z index, have this actually on top of the image itself. So you're thinking about like the hierarchy of information. So the text that applies to the image goes with the image, and then if the text doesn't apply with the image, then it can be separated to the side. Like this one may need an explanation of, you know, instead of having the image just kind of to the side, explain what that image is.
Okay.
But yeah, I really like it. Pretty cool.
You can tell I spent too much time on one aspect of this project.
Right, but what's cool is that it's an actual real website that you can share with people now, right? So that's kind of like the most interesting thing about it. Who else has something? Caitlin, did you have something?
Oh yeah, I send you in the trail.
Oh, is it in the chat?
Yeah.
I'm having trouble finding my chat. Oh, there it is. Oh, I don't see it.
What?
Can you put it inside the chat here?
Yeah, I send you the chat. Include on the assistant. Oh,
Let me see.
I don't see.
I'm not seeing it.
Oh, in assistant in assignment 6.
Oh, is it in Canvas?
Yeah, in Canvas.
Oh, I have to go into Canvas. What's the can you put it inside the chat? Type it here.
Yeah.
Does anybody else have landing pages that they can show on Alta Vista?
Okay.
Did it go through? Let me see. Let me go into Canvas.
So in the Canvas.
Hold on, I'm looking for it.
Maybe I send you.
I don't see.
You don't see? Okay, I send you.
Oh, you have it under homework 5?
Yes. No, the assignment 6.
Oh. Is it uploaded to Alta Vista?
Waiting, I send to you.
So let me see. Oh, I can't. Can you do a .zip file instead of a .rar file?
Send you the file.
Yeah, I don't have the software to open a .rar file to uncompress it. I need to get that. But it's this right here, right? Oh, Palin. But I don't have
I send you in that room.
yeah, I see that. But you see how it's a .rar file because you're compressing it using that format. When I download it,
Okay.
let me see.
I send you in the drum, then you can.
Let me see if I can expand that. See, it doesn't let me extract it because I don't have .rar. However you're compressing it, I don't have the right software to extract it yet. So can you
Oh,
save it as a .zip instead?
you
I
die.
can download it and then zip it and send it to you.
Oh, do you have what is Jason is going to do it?
You need a program called WinRAR, but I think
Yeah, I know. I used to use that. I just don't have it on this computer yet.
is this the, yeah, this should be a zip. You should check the Zoom chat.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Right.
Perfect. Thank you. So let's see. But I want to make sure, Palin, too, that you can upload it to Alta Vista.
Yeah.
I want to just everybody get used to upload something. Um, all right, here you go. All right, this is yours?
Yes.
Okay. Oh, cool.
Oh,
So you're using jQuery to play with the animation. The same way though, right? You have this
yeah.
button and you're using
Yeah.
what, the on function? Is that what you're using for it? I'll open it up so we can see it. This is it, right?
Yeah.
And then here's your script. So, okay, you're using click, right?
Yeah.
So, and then, so you can use the on function too. That's what I was using. So instead of click, I was saying on and then click in parentheses and then the name of another function. But what you're doing is the button start, which is the button, it's going to animate and it's going to change this bit of the style for animate. So you go up into well, basically it's using this scroll top to change the position of the page. So you click, and then it goes from 11. It goes down to 1100. It goes down 1100 pixels. You click here, and it goes down 1100 pixels. So basically, it's one big web page, right?
Yeah.
Or actually, one big page with two images.
Mhm.
So okay, very cool. That looks good. Does anybody else have anything to show? Anybody so anybody else having any challenges with Alta Vista by any chance, or you can just keep it simple, like keep this landing page really simple. Don't do anything like what Palin's doing. It's simple, right? So you don't have to get too complicated with it. I want to make sure you guys finish this. You know, the main point of the assignment really is to upload to Alta Vista and to give you some experience with doing the contact page for that site. So did anybody have any questions about that?
Professor,
Yes.
I was wondering if I can schedule time for you to just review Flexbox, because it's some parts is confusing, like after the class.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
I think what I want to do too is I kind of want to schedule time with everybody, you know, before maybe next class. So what I'll do is probably come up with a schedule, and then like everybody here, I want to spend like maybe like 30 minutes or so just kind of going over how we can make sure you guys finish all of your current projects and to make sure that you're ready to do the final. So just let me know when you guys want to schedule time with me, or what I'll do is create like a scheduling list that you can fill in some time slots on Canvas and send that out to you. But I was thinking not to do it today, but maybe like starting on like Monday of this week to schedule times with you throughout the week.
Okay, sounds good.
Does that work?
Yeah.
So, all right. So that's kind of all I have to talk about today. So what I'll do is I will upload the assignment so you guys can see it, and then I'll send you guys all those examples. And then for what we can do for next week, you know, try to get the landing page done. But for next week, I kind of want to see your concept for the final. So just kind of have like a wireframe, and we could go through the concept for the final. And then we'll talk more about jQuery and some other interactive things that we could possibly do as part of it. And that's all I have for today. So yeah, I'll send you some more files, and then I'll send you the video for this week. I'll send you the assignment, and then I'll send you some sort of list so you can schedule out time, so everybody can schedule a time with. Does that sound good?
Yes.
Yeah, thanks.
So all right, okay. So I'm gonna sign off then, and then talk to you guys more this week. Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Alrighty. All right. You're welcome. I'll talk to you later.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Thank you, Phelan.
The next assignments, okay.
Yeah.
I send in the crayon or in another website. I send you my homework in the crayon.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you have to. I think you have to do the gallery site too.
No, I just asked the next assignment. You say you had the next assignment. You use the jQuery to make
Oh, yeah.
some.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna upload it.
Yeah, I upload in the crayon or in another website.
Yeah. It's hold on one sec.
I upload in the crayon. Sorry, no. I upload in the canvas, no crayon, canvas.
Yeah, the canvas.
Sorry. Okay, thank you.
Okay. Alrighty. Thank you.
Sorry, my English not very well. You see.
Oh. All right. Well, that's fine.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Phelan.